From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, I am Estefania Bravo, and this is From the South. More than 430 delegates from Latin America, the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, and Europe are in Cuba participating in the 24th meeting of the Sao Paulo Forum. The three-day meeting, kicking off today in the Cuban capital, will focus on the left unity amidst increasing imperialist hostility towards Latin American progressive governments. The inauguration of the meeting was held in the Convention Palace, presided over by the second Secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Cuba, José Ramón Machado Ventura, and gathered more than 100 left-wing and progressive parties and organizations from Latin America and the Caribbean. The opening ceremony was also led by the Executive Secretary of the Sao Paulo Forum, Mónica Valente. It was attended by key regional figures such as the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves, and the Puerto Rican independence fighter, Oscar López Libera.
This weekend, this Sunday, 15th, 16th, and 17th of July will take place here in Havana, the Sao Paulo Forum, the 24th meeting of the Sao Paulo Forum. This will be 24 years after that Havana hosted, that Cuba hosted this meeting, the fourth meeting of this forum. In this event, over 400 people are expected to be arriving to Cuba, political parties and groups, but also special guests that were invited to take place of this meeting. We must take into consideration that the Sao Paulo Forum is a space for political consultation and a space for the regional left to exchange ideas and thoughts about how to get stronger in these years. The Sao Paulo Forum was founded in 1990 by Fidel Castro and the former president of Brazil, Luis Inácio Lula da Silva. This forum also takes place expects people not only from the Latin America and the Caribbean, but also from Europe, Africa, Middle East, and this will be a meeting to exchange ideas, debate over topics like culture, with the youth, with the legislators. This will be a space of integration of movements from the left, from Latin America and the Caribbean, but also a space where to share these ideas and these struggles of Latin America and the Caribbean to free and to conquer their future. We'll be sharing with you everything that comes from this meeting.
Thank you, Laura, for your information. And during the forum, in an interview for Telesur, the president of the Workers' Party of Brazil, Gleisi Hoffmann, spoke about the importance of the space and its relationship with the current situation of her country.
This type of action, of interaction with the people and union with social movements, progressive, left-wing parties is so important. Because the right wing, the rich, the big capital joined to take away from the poor. Lula was a leader who started to invest in a process in Brazil. And because Brazil is such a big country, it has a big influence in the continent. So it influenced other Latin American countries. That is why they need to take Lula out of the process. Lula is in jail not because he has committed a crime. Lula is in jail because he gave hope to the poor Brazilian people.
Former Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff expressed her admiration for the people of Venezuela in spite of severe external pressures.
The people in Venezuela have shown a huge capacity for resistance in the face of an absolutely excessive force represented by the U.S. And now we have the Trump administration making open military threats. I have to express my admiration for the courage and resilience of the Venezuelan people.
In El Salvador, the FMLN youth released an official statement on the situation in neighboring Nicaragua. The statement said that the youth of the Farabundo Martí Front cannot sit quiet during these abuses toward the life and dignity of the heroic Nicaraguan people who, quote, before geopolitical interference by both local and international groups, attempt to generate a scenario of uncertainty like what they have done in the progressive countries of Venezuela, Bolivia, and Ecuador, end quote. The statement said that this is all part of a soft coup strategy in Latin America. Haitian President Jovenel Moise called for an end to violence on Saturday as he promised to quickly replace Prime Minister Jacques Lafontaine, who resigned earlier in the day as he faced a non-confidence vote after a move to lower fuel subsidies prompted days of violent protests.
Violence pas marcher avec développement ni démocratie.
Violence does not work with development and democracy. We have to cut bridges with these old practices that are putting the country behind. As head of state, I have issued instructions to every official in the state. Every person in his or her own interest must ensure the safety of the lives and property of people across the country of Haiti.
Prime Minister Jacques Lafontaine resigned before he appeared in the parliament ahead of a vote of no confidence. The Prime Minister was seen as instrumental in the rise of fuel prices, which sparked massive protests in early July. Shortly after, he was forced to postpone the decision. Meanwhile, the opposition deputies in the parliament were calling for his removal. Rolando Segura is in Haiti with the latest.
After being questioned in a parliament session, Jacques Lafontaine indeed confirmed that before arriving in the Haitian parliament, he had delivered his resignation as prime minister to the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise. This is something that the opposition has deemed unconstitutional, because it should be Parliament who declares the motion of censure or no confidence in the Prime Minister. In the meantime, outside of the Parliament building, there were some protesters. The opposition had called for a massive protest, but they just barely managed to summon a dozen of people. The protest was broken up by security officials when it began to get violent. In the meantime, we wait for the reactions from the different sectors of Haitian society. The Prime Minister's resignation came after major protests after the announcement of gas price hikes of 50%, and despite revoking the measure, calls still remained for his resignation.
A major victory for Julian Assange after the Inter-American Court of Human Rights ruled essentially that it is his basic human right to seek asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy in London.
The Inter-American Court of Human Rights published an advisory opinion requested by the Ecuadorian government on the institution of asylum and its recognition as a human right in the Inter-American system of protection. The court ruled people have the right to seek asylum in embassies and that a state must give safe passage to the asylum seekers.
As the pronouncement of the Inter-American Court says, there is this obligation to guarantee the right of every human being and to apply the principle of non-return. This means that a person cannot be delivered to a foreign territory if he considers that his life and integrity are in danger.
The court interpreted the reach of the protection given under Article 22.7 of the American Convention on Human Rights and Article 77 of the American Declaration on the Rights and Duties of Man.
Legally, Assange is Ecuadorian, and therefore whether asylum should be granted or not isn't a discussion. Asylum relates to a foreign person, and Julian Assange is Ecuadorian.
Meanwhile, social organizations who support Assange in Ecuador celebrated the court's publication, but also they sounded the warning that Ecuador is taking a more neoliberal stance to its policy making.
With the Pence visit, various of the economic measures that the government has taken, we know that the Assange comes under that political path. It's that approach towards a United States neoliberal policy.
During an interview, Ecuadorian Foreign Ministry denied the possibility of a meeting with Julian Assange in his next trip to Belgium to the SELAC summit this month. Also, Ecuador's President Lenin Moreno will travel to Europe in the coming days. There have been rumors that Moreno will discuss Assange's status. However, the government officially said they will look for a joint solution with the United Kingdom and the lawyers of the WikiLeaks founder. Denise Herrera, Telesur Quito, Ecuador.
On the 1st of July, Mexicans not only elected a new president, but a congressman too, who's like no ordinary politician. Pedro Carrizales from the El Mijis movement hails from San Luis Potosí and from an early age was involved with gangs, drugs, and alcohol. Pedro, born and raised in a rough area of northern Mexico where gang violence is the norm, even bears all the hallmarks to a gang member with his tattoos. He even spent time in prison. However, against all odds, he's been elected as a local deputy. Pedro, who has been a victim of discrimination, feels he's best placed to represent the young and working people due to his background. His election is truly a victory for social movements and demonstrates a shift in attitudes and a move away from classism. The Miji campaign has 16 years of grassroots work with young people from unprivileged backgrounds. Pedro believes he can make a significant contribution to public life.
The authorities do not go and ask the kids what they want, so they can win their love. No, that is done behind a desk. How can you make public policy if you live behind a desk? Or the congressman, how can you work for the people when you have a full wallet?
We'll be back very soon. Stay with us.
Mundial hoy se ha convertido en mercancía, lo imperan las leyes del mercado, es un escenario donde se compran los deportistas, se compran y se venden los deportistas como si fueran mercancía, donde hay una alta corrupción administrativa dentro del deporte, donde el flagelo del nefasto, del dopaje, también se va imponiendo, lamentablemente, en la competición deportiva. Y sin embargo, la Revolución Cubana, un país pequeño como el nuestro, con escasos recursos económicos y financieros, ha tratado de seguir manteniendo la moral y la dignidad del deporte.
Welcome back, and now let's take a look at the day's events in what has been a truly accelerating World Cup.
Thank you, Steffi, and welcome to our Telesur Russia 2018 special World Cup coverage. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez, and here are today's headlines. The World Cup in Russia has just ended, and we have a new champion. France beat Croatia 4-2 in Moscow. Croatian striker Mario Mandzukic scored an own goal to give France the lead. Ivan Perisic tied the game 1-1. Antoine Griezmann scored a penalty goal at the end of the first half. Paul Pogba and Kylian Mbappé scored in the second half for France, and Mario Mandzukic scored the second goal for Croatia. This is the second World Cup title for France. French head coach and players celebrated the championship.
Demain et dans les jours à venir.
We will realize what has happened tomorrow and in the following days. At the moment, they don't really know what's going on. They don't really know what it is to be world champions. And I have told them that at the end of the match, two things are important. Number one, those 23 players will be linked together forever. Forever. Whatever happens. They might follow different paths, but they will be together because of this event. And I also told them from tonight on they will be different. They're not going to be the same because they're going to be world champions. It will not change their lives, but professionally there's nothing about that. Maybe they will win other titles. I don't want to undermine any other title, but world champion? When you're a professional footballer, it doesn't get any bigger.
I know that I'm going to be in the history of French football with my team. We don't quite realize it yet, but our children are going to be very proud to have our names.
Fans in France watch as their team won the tournament. Their previous championship win was 20 years ago. The Champs-Élysées and Eiffel Tower were packed with overjoyed fans. The victory on the pitch in Russia sparked euphoria throughout the city of Paris. This is the second World Cup title for France. French head coach and players celebrated the championship.
Demain et dans les jours à venir.
We will realize what has happened tomorrow and in the following days. At the moment, they don't really know what's going on. They don't really know what it is to be world champions. And I have told them that at the end of the match, two things are important. Number one, those 23 players will be linked together forever. Forever. Whatever happens. They might follow different paths, but they will be together because of this event. And I also told them from tonight on they will be different. They're not going to be the same because they're going to be world champions. It will not change their lives, but professionally there's nothing about that. Maybe they will win other titles. I don't want to undermine any other title, but world champion? When you're a professional footballer, it doesn't get any bigger.
I know that I'm going to be in the history of French football with my team. We don't quite realize it yet, but our children are going to be very proud to have our names.
Football and the World Cup, all of these bring people together and allow us to put aside our differences. And that's a really good thing, because right now, I think everyone is proud to be French.
This is great. People are together. Everybody got together in a good atmosphere. There's no trouble. Everybody is in a good mood and it's great. It makes everyone feel better and we're happy to be here and proud to be French.
Croatian football fans celebrated despite their team's loss in the World Cup final. The fan zone in the capital city turned into a giant street party with fans singing and celebrating long after the final whistle was blown.
It was very good. It was a clumsy win for the French. We played 16 times better, but we were not lucky. And they definitely were.
It was really difficult to watch and I was crying. The sheer fact that they made it to the finals means almost as if we were the World Cup winners. I'm actually happy with everything today. And to tell you the truth, the first and second matches Croatia played for me were more difficult to watch.
Let's have a look at the top goal scorers of the tournament. English striker Harry Kane is the top World Cup scorer with 6 goals, followed by Antoine Griezmann for France with 4 goals, and Romelu Lukaku from Belgium with 4 goals as well. Following the match, Telesur was outside Luzhniki Stadium to hear the reactions for fans from Latin America.
Their teams went home early, but fans who traveled all the way from Latin America and around the world were absolutely thrilled to witness the 2018 Russia World Cup final at Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow.
Really exciting from the start. All of the goals that France made, the second goal that Croatia made, it was like if they came to a tie. I honestly wanted a tie because then we could have gone to penalty kicks. But it was really exciting. It was worth it to come here from very far away. You feel alive. It's actually emotional and almost makes you want to cry because you're at the World Cup. Peru came but didn't stay. But either way, we're at the World Cup final.
I was here supporting Croatia, but honestly, France had a good game. Croatia did good too. It was a beautiful, beautiful World Cup. I love it. It's one of the best. I attended 3. I think this is the best. The environment was great. The people are nice. The country is really ready for the World Cup. I vote Russia. The emotion, everybody is having fun. Even the losing team was having fun. It's a great, great time.
And these international football fans were just as invested in the final match as anyone else.
It was an exciting game. It was the result I expected because France had higher quality players than Croatia. On the other hand, Croatia did everything they could to be in the final. But they faced a great team with good players and France won.
Fans had high hopes for Peru, Colombia, Mexico, Uruguay, Costa Rica, and Panama, and especially for Brazil and Argentina. But despite this, football fans who had the pleasure of visiting Russia were stoked for the rare experience.
It was a great game. I thought Croatia was going to win, but France imposed their game. They scored the goal and won the cup. It was a great World Cup because we met many people from around the world, and also Latin American people. European people, African people are getting together to enjoy the game. I hope Mexico and any country from Latin America could win the World Cup someday.
Fans from Latin America are headed home, now with the 2026 World Cup in North America to look forward to, much closer to home, and a possible South American FIFA World Cup tournament in 2030, as Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay rally for their joint bid.
Fans in Russia are getting the opportunity to see what they can expect 4 years from now in Qatar.
Interactive installations will feature a look into some of Qatar, showcasing the country as a prime cultural and sporting destination. These digital portals, or screens, are meant to connect cultures and communities and have been placed across Doha, St. Petersburg, and Moscow, and are allowing fans to interact between cities through live broadcasts.
The characteristics of the country are interesting, as we know it's a desert and very hot. That's why the dates for the upcoming World Cup have changed. Now it's going to be in December. That's all we know about the host country.
I like because it is bridge to another people in our country, in other places, and the other countries.
The pop-up event was organized by what's called the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, which is tasked with organizing the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar. And for many reasons, there's been a lot of stigma and negative criticisms attached to the host countries of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups.
I think everybody here who comes to Russia and Qatar, I think, face a lot of criticism and skeptical in media when it comes, to hosting the World Cup. But I mean, coming here, I think the whole perception have been changed from people when they experience. So we're hoping, actually, in Qatar, we'll be also organizing a successful tournament.
They're also telling people, don't be surprised by what you experience when you enter a new country as a foreigner. But of course, all are welcome.
Everybody's welcome to Qatar. I mean, it's up to people, to their preferences. But I mean, everybody's welcome. But I mean, what we've got to ask from the people is just to, respect the local, we're a conservative society, just to respect the local tradition and culture.
The live broadcasts through the portal are bridging football fans from Russian cities to cities in Qatar for brief but friendly and rare exchanges on the final day of this thrilling 2018 Russia World Cup.
And that's all for Telesur's Russia 2018 headlines. Don't miss our exclusive show, De la Mano del 10, the World Cup according to Maradona. Only on Telesur English. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Back to you, Steffi.
Thank you, Jose Daniel, for your information. More stories now. The International Monetary Fund have concluded a 10-day visit to Barbados to carry out preliminary findings after Prime Minister Mia Mottley announced the country needed to turn to them to restore the ailing economy. The IMF delegation led by Bert Van Selm were in Bridgetown to meet with authorities. In a press statement, Van Selm reaffirmed that debt restructuring will be critical to securing macroeconomic stability. Mia Mottley took to Twitter to thank the delegation and praised the trip. In Argentina, the government of Mauricio Macri is being criticized for not defending the sovereignty of the Malvinas by conceding to the demands of the UK. Critics would have liked to see Macri resume negotiations under the 2065 United Nations resolution. The Malvinas cause has hit hard, especially for the former soldiers who served in the 1982 war to win the islands. They are particularly concerned at the government's willingness to regionally cede the islands without any resistance. They had hoped that the government would press for dialogue with the UK. Argentina carries the Malvinas Island cause close to their hearts and are applauded by the government's compliance, although the government's hand could have been forced due to an arms deal.
Argentina is clearly on its knees before the pirates pledging to unlock the normal developing. all the legal, political, and administrative obstacles to remove the agreement and leave everything to the inhabitants of the island and the United Kingdom, when it should be the opposite.
The Cuban World Olympic champion Javier Sotomayor has celebrated the 25th anniversary of his man world record high jump. The record has not yet been beaten.
This man, born in the western Cuban province of Matanzas, is the highest jumper in human history. That's why many prefer to call Javier Sotomayor the Prince of Heights. His 2 meters and 45 centimeters jump in the World Championship in Salamanca, Spain, in 1993 created a legacy.
Javier Sotomayor, récord del mundo, 2:45. ¡Wow! ¡Récord del mundo! ¡Récord del mundo! Salamanca vuelve a la historia. Salamanca, la historia.
Haberse comportado bien el clima una semana antes en Londres.
If the weather had been better, I would have broken the record a week earlier in London. I did 2:40 there, and the delay between 2:37 and 2:40 was postponed until the bar was raised, because it started to rain. The following week, I jumped in Salamanca, 2:45, and I feel happy that destiny made that move on me. 2 of my records were in that place. It made me feel good.
Los 2:45 en Salamanca y me siento contento.
In 2014, the Cuban record was in danger of being passed by the Qatari Barshim with a jump of 2.43, and by the Ukrainian Bondarenko with 2.42. Sotomayor tried 5 times to pass his own record by setting the rod at 2.46. The former jumper is convinced that someday someone will beat this record, because that is what records are for.
No es que ese día yo vaya a abrir una botella de champán y vaya a festejar.
I will not celebrate the day my record is broken. It won't be the unhappiest day of my life. When it happens, I will be proud that I made a world record and I achieved Olympic medals. Those are the things that history cannot erase as far as I'm concerned.
De haber hecho récord del mundo, de haber tenido récord del mundo por tantos años.
Sotomayor has achieved 6 triumphs in world championships, 2 outdoors and 4 indoors. One record still stands with a jump of 2.43. In addition, he defeated the best high jumpers of the 80s and 90s, the golden age of that time.
Para tú distinguirte,
to distinguish yourself from the rest, you have to have 2 abilities. The ability to have been born with the quality to stand out in what you do, and the hard work you need to make it.
Defended by Fidel Castro himself in light of the smearing campaigns to link him with doping, greeted by Pope Francis in the Vatican, and with the title of Prince of Asturias, Soto, as he is called on the island as a celebrity of the contemporary Cuba. Even when his record is broken, he will always be remembered.
A week of targeted attacks on election rallies culminated in a suicide bombing killing at least 130 people in Balochistan province, Pakistan on Sunday. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for Friday's attack at the Balochistan Awami Party rally. Among the dead was the party's provincial assembly candidate Siraj Raisani. As election day looms closer, fears have been raised about further attacks. Iraqi police have wounded 48 people in clashes with protesters in Basra. Demonstrations against the government enter their 7th day now. Police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds as they tried to storm a government building. Some 28 members of the security forces were also injured. A ceasefire has been announced by Hamas after the most severe exchange of fire between Israel and Palestinian fighters in the Gaza Strip since 2014, easing fears of a wider conflict for now. Saturday saw dozens of Israeli airstrikes killed 2 Palestinians, while some 200 rockets and mortars were fired from the enclave at Israel. Since the protests and clashes broke out along the border on March 30th, at least 141 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire. There have been no Israeli fatalities.
After this escalation, regional and international powers intervened to restore calm, and an agreement was reached to end this escalation. Hamas' position is that the occupation started the aggression and it must stop, and also affirm that every time the occupation attacks our people, there will be a direct response from the resistance on Israeli military positions.
Scores of mourning Palestinians took to the streets of Gaza City on Sunday in a funeral procession for 2 teenagers who were killed in an Israeli airstrike on Gaza building on Saturday. Witnesses said the 2 children were playing in a half-constructed high-rise when it was hit by the Israeli missile.
He went to play and eat with his friend. He didn't have a rocket or a bomb. He told me, I will go out for lunch with my friend Loai. They are close friends from school. They hung out after school and they were killed together.
It is an open yard where he likes to play with his friends. He wasn't carrying a rocket. He was just an innocent kid.
U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived and we've come to the end of this news. We will get back to that story in some time. For these and other stories, you can find them on our website at telesurenglish.net/English. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I am Estefania Bravo. Thank you for watching.